Chosen ones, you never ask for help, but this is what's destroying you inside. Have you ever wondered why, despite carrying the weight of the world upon your shoulders, you find it so incredibly difficult to ask for help? You're a chosen one, gifted, powerful, deeply intuitive, and spiritually sensitive, and you've likely always felt an overwhelming responsibility to handle life's burdens entirely on your own. Perhaps you've convinced yourself that asking for help is a sign of weakness, that your mission in life requires absolute independence and solitude. But I need you to listen carefully, because I'm about to share something deeply profound with you. Refusing to ask for help isn't a strength. It's the very thing slowly destroying you from within. And it's time for you to understand why. From a very young age, you probably felt intensely different from those around you. Maybe you sensed energies others could not perceive, empathized deeply with emotional pain no one else seemed to notice, or intuitively understood things far beyond your years. Your unique perception of the world and deep emotional sensitivity have always set you apart, leading you to develop a subconscious belief that no one could possibly understand your experiences, let alone help you navigate them. As a result, you've gradually withdrawn, preferring solitude and silent struggle over opening up about your inner battles. You've embraced your independence as a badge of honor, silently enduring intense emotional storms, spiritual crises, and personal challenges that might have broken anyone else. But here's the hidden truth no one ever told you clearly enough. Even the strongest souls, the most enlightened, gifted, spiritually awakened individuals need help. Refusing to ask for help isn't bravery or spiritual strength. It's isolation disguised as independence, slowly eating away at your spirit, vitality, and true spiritual potential.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Deep inside, you feel this truth. You sense the loneliness creeping in, the exhaustion of carrying burdens entirely alone, and the quiet despair of facing life's challenges without a supportive community. Yet you've convinced yourself that asking for help makes you less capable, less spiritual, or somehow less chosen. Perhaps you fear being misunderstood, rejected, or judged harshly by those around you. But I want to challenge this belief at its core. Could it be that your refusal to ask for help isn't rooted in spiritual strength, but in deep-seated fear of vulnerability, fear of rejection, or fear of admitting you don't have all the answers? Take a moment and ask yourself this deeply powerful question. Are you genuinely stronger because you faced life alone, or have you merely learned to mask your emotional wounds with solitude and silence? Let me reveal to you the deeper spiritual purpose behind your innate reluctance to ask for help. As a chosen one, your journey isn't about isolation, it's about authentic connection. You're not here to walk your spiritual path entirely alone, you're here to inspire, heal, and awaken humanity through genuine human connection. Ironically, your greatest spiritual strength isn't independence, it's vulnerability. Your willingness to openly share your struggles, ask for support, and authentically connect with others is precisely what empowers your true spiritual purpose. When you courageously ask for help, you give others permission to do the same, creating profound emotional liberation, collective healing, and authentic spiritual awakening. You see, your refusal to seek help doesn't just harm you, it inadvertently deprives others of the transformative power hidden within vulnerability itself. Imagine how deeply you could impact humanity by authentically sharing your struggles, openly seeking support, and courageously embodying emotional vulnerability. Imagine inspiring countless others toward emotional honesty, collective compassion, and genuine spiritual connection simply by authentically expressing your own human struggles. Your vulnerability isn't weakness, it's your most powerful spiritual gift. It's the very key that unlocks collective healing, emotional liberation, and profound spiritual awakening, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Yet this profound realization doesn't come easily. For years, perhaps your entire life, you've deeply internalized the belief that vulnerability equals weakness. You've instinctively hidden your struggles behind stoicism, spiritual strength, and emotional independence. Asking for help feels profoundly uncomfortable precisely because it directly challenges deeply ingrained beliefs about spiritual capability, personal worth, and emotional strength. But understand this clearly: discomfort isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a powerful indication you're breaking free from outdated beliefs, stepping courageously into authentic vulnerability, and aligning harmoniously with your true spiritual purpose. I think deeply for a moment about the most spiritually powerful people throughout history: spiritual leaders, great teachers, prophets, and enlightened masters. None of them navigated their spiritual journeys entirely alone. They relied deeply upon trusted communities, wise teachers, compassionate mentors, and emotional support networks to fully embody their spiritual potential. Their strength wasn't solitary independence, it was authentic connection, emotional vulnerability, and collective support. Could it be that your soul chose this precise moment to hear this message, to finally understand that asking for help isn't a spiritual failure, but a powerful act of courage, authenticity, and profound spiritual wisdom? It's time for you to consciously dismantle these deeply held beliefs about independence, strength, and spirituality. Recognize clearly that your refusal to ask for help has never protected you. It's merely isolated you, drained your emotional vitality, and limited your spiritual potential. Consciously choose vulnerability daily, authentically sharing your struggles with trusted individuals, openly seeking emotional support, and courageously expressing emotional authenticity. Your vulnerability powerfully liberates emotional energy previously trapped behind stoicism and silence, dramatically enhancing emotional vitality, spiritual clarity, and intuitive insight. Imagine clearly what your life could become if you fully embraced vulnerability, authentically seeking help, support, and genuine human connection. Relationships deepen dramatically, authentically guided toward emotional intimacy, compassionate empathy, and spiritual alignment. Emotional health profoundly improves as emotional burdens release fully, dramatically increasing emotional vitality, spiritual clarity, and intuitive insight. Your spiritual purpose profoundly strengthens because vulnerability authentically connects you with collective humanity, dramatically enhancing emotional authenticity, intuitive wisdom, and compassionate empathy. Yet embracing vulnerability fully requires immense courage, spiritual discipline, and profound authenticity. You must consciously dismantle deeply internalized beliefs equating independence with spiritual strength, recognizing clearly that vulnerability isn't weakness but profound spiritual authenticity. Your courageous willingness to authentically seek help openly profoundly inspires collective courage, emotional honesty, intuitive authenticity, and genuine spiritual awakening. Now, deeply ask yourself this powerful question: are you truly ready to courageously embrace emotional vulnerability fully, authentically stepping powerfully into your profound spiritual purpose? Are you willing to consciously dismantle outdated beliefs equating independence with spiritual strength, courageously seeking help, support, and genuine human connection, profoundly shifting humanity toward collective emotional liberation, intuitive clarity, and spiritual awakening? If your soul whispers a powerful, unwavering yes, then brace yourself. In the next part, I'll reveal precisely how consciously embracing vulnerability transforms your emotional health, intuitive clarity, spiritual authenticity, and profoundly fulfills humanity's collective spiritual destiny. Are you ready to courageously embrace your sacred vulnerability fully? The hidden power of vulnerability, how asking for help transforms your life and empowers humanity. Have you ever truly considered the immense spiritual power hidden within vulnerability? Imagine for a moment how your life could profoundly transform if you fully embraced emotional openness, courageously asking for help, and genuinely sharing your struggles with others. Many chosen ones, deeply intuitive and spiritually gifted individuals like you, mistakenly equate vulnerability with weakness, believing they must bear every burden alone. But the truth is entirely different. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's your most profound spiritual strength. It's the hidden gateway to authentic human connection, emotional liberation, and collective spiritual awakening. Let's delve deeper into precisely how consciously embracing vulnerability transforms your emotional health, intuitive clarity, spiritual authenticity, and ultimately fulfills humanity's collective spiritual destiny. First, when you courageously ask for help, your emotional health dramatically improves. By openly expressing your struggles and seeking support, you liberate emotional energy previously trapped behind walls of stoicism and silence. Emotional burdens lift dramatically, releasing anxiety, depression, and fatigue previously caused by prolonged isolation. Emotional vitality increases significantly, empowering profound emotional resilience, intuitive clarity, and spiritual strength. Imagine clearly how your emotional health could improve dramatically simply by courageously expressing vulnerability and openly asking for emotional support when needed. Secondly, consciously embracing vulnerability significantly enhances your intuitive clarity. Vulnerability demands emotional authenticity, honest self-reflection, and profound spiritual insight. By courageously seeking support, you authentically connect with others at deep emotional levels, intuitively sensing hidden emotional dynamics, guiding interactions toward authenticity, compassion, and spiritual alignment. Your intuitive radar sharpens dramatically, clearly perceiving subtle emotional energies invisible to ordinary perception. Imagine effortlessly navigating relationships, careers, and life decisions intuitively guided by clear emotional signals indicating authenticity, compassionate alignment, and spiritual truth. Could consciously embracing vulnerability powerfully enhance intuitive clarity and dramatically align your life harmoniously with your highest spiritual purpose? Third, embracing vulnerability dramatically deepens spiritual authenticity. Vulnerability requires courageously dismantling deeply internalized beliefs equating independence with spiritual strength, consciously recognizing that authentic spirituality isn't solitary isolation, but profound emotional connection and collective support. Your spiritual authenticity deepens dramatically because vulnerability powerfully connects you with collective humanity, authentically guiding relationships toward emotional intimacy, compassionate empathy, and spiritual awakening. Imagine authentically embodying spiritual truths openly, courageously inspiring collective emotional liberation, intuitive awakening, and spiritual authenticity simply by genuinely sharing your emotional struggles. Could consciously embracing vulnerability profoundly strengthen spiritual authenticity and dramatically empower humanity's collective spiritual awakening? Finally, consciously embracing vulnerability profoundly transforms humanity's collective spiritual destiny. Your courageous willingness to authentically seek help openly profoundly inspires collective courage, emotional honesty, intuitive authenticity, and genuine spiritual awakening. Your individual vulnerability powerfully dismantles outdated societal beliefs, equating strength with emotional stoicism, energetically shifting collective consciousness dramatically toward emotional vulnerability, compassionate empathy, intuitive clarity, and profound spiritual awakening. Imagine inspiring countless others toward emotional liberation, intuitive awakening, and spiritual authenticity simply by courageously expressing emotional vulnerability openly. Yet consciously embracing vulnerability requires immense courage, authenticity, and spiritual discipline. You must consciously dismantle deeply internalized beliefs, equating independence with spiritual strength, recognizing clearly that vulnerability isn't weakness but profound spiritual authenticity. Daily practice emotional honesty, openly expressing emotional struggles with trusted individuals, courageously seeking emotional support, and authentically embodying intuitive truths publicly. Your courageous authenticity powerfully inspires humanity profoundly toward emotional vulnerability, intuitive clarity, compassionate empathy, and collective spiritual awakening. Now deeply ask yourself this profoundly powerful question. Are you truly ready to courageously embrace emotional vulnerability fully, authentically stepping powerfully into profound spiritual purpose? Are you willing to consciously dismantle outdated beliefs equating independence with spiritual strength, courageously seeking help, support, genuine human connection, energetically shifting humanity profoundly toward collective emotional liberation, intuitive clarity, spiritual awakening? If your soul whispers powerful, unwavering yes, then brace yourself. In the next part, I'll reveal exactly why universe specifically chose your soul intentionally for extraordinary spiritual mission, and precisely how fully embracing sacred vulnerability profoundly fulfills humanity's collective spiritual destiny. Why the universe specifically chose you to embody vulnerability, and how it transforms humanity forever. Have you ever deeply wondered why, among countless souls, the universe specifically chose you for such an extraordinary spiritual path, one that demands deep emotional sensitivity, profound intuitive insight, and courageous vulnerability? Understand this clearly: your sensitivity, your intuitive gifts, and especially your struggle to ask for help are not accidental. They were intentionally entrusted to your soul by the universe itself precisely because your emotional vulnerability and authentic openness are exactly what humanity urgently needs right now. Your soul holds a unique combination of emotional authenticity, intuitive clarity, and compassionate empathy, capable of profoundly shifting collective consciousness toward emotional liberation, intuitive awakening, and spiritual authenticity. Consider deeply: could every moment of isolation, every struggle you faced alone, every time you hesitated to ask for help, have been intentional spiritual preparations specifically designed by the universe? What if these experiences weren't mere challenges but sacred initiations intended to awaken powerful spiritual gifts hidden within your soul, gifts that emerge only when you courageously embrace vulnerability and authentic connection? Your refusal to seek help wasn't true strength, it was isolation disguised as independence. The universe specifically chose your soul precisely because authentic emotional vulnerability and courageous openness are your greatest spiritual powers, capable of profoundly transforming humanity's collective emotional health, intuitive awareness, and spiritual awakening. Your individual journey profoundly impacts humanity's collective destiny. Each moment you courageously express emotional vulnerability, openly seeking help, and authentically connecting with others, energetically shifts collective emotions, intuitions, and spiritual awareness dramatically. Your courageous vulnerability powerfully dismantles outdated societal beliefs, equating strength with emotional stoicism, energetically inspiring collective emotional liberation, intuitive awakening, and spiritual authenticity. Imagine profoundly shifting humanity's collective consciousness simply by authentically embodying emotional openness and vulnerability publicly. Yet fully stepping into this sacred vulnerability requires immense courage and spiritual discipline. You must consciously dismantle deeply internalized beliefs equating independence with spiritual strength, courageously embracing emotional authenticity, vulnerability, and genuine human connection. Daily practice emotional openness, authentically expressing intuitive truths, emotional struggles, and compassionate empathy openly. Your courageous authenticity profoundly inspires humanity's collective courage, emotional vulnerability, intuitive clarity, and spiritual awakening. Now, deeply ask yourself this powerful, transformative question. Are you truly ready to courageously embrace emotional vulnerability fully, authentically stepping powerfully into your profound spiritual purpose? Are you willing to consciously dismantle outdated beliefs about independence, courageously seeking help, support, and authentic human connection, energetically shifting humanity profoundly toward emotional liberation, intuitive clarity, spiritual awakening? If your soul resonates deeply with an unwavering, powerful yes, trust completely in your sacred empathic mission. Embrace your emotional vulnerability courageously. Express intuitive wisdom authentically. Courageously embody emotional authenticity publicly, energetically inspiring humanity profoundly toward collective emotional liberation, intuitive awakening, and spiritual empowerment. In the final part, I'll reveal precisely how embracing vulnerability fulfills humanity's spiritual destiny forever. Are you ready? How your courageous vulnerability fulfills humanity's spiritual destiny forever. Have you ever truly grasped the profound power hidden within your willingness to openly ask for help and embrace emotional vulnerability? You see, your soul was specifically chosen by the universe precisely because your genuine openness, emotional authenticity, and courageous vulnerability hold the exact spiritual medicine humanity urgently needs right now. Your willingness to authentically express struggles, openly seek emotional support, and courageously connect with others energetically shifts collective consciousness dramatically toward emotional liberation, intuitive clarity, and profound spiritual awakening. Each moment you courageously embody emotional openness, vulnerability, and authentic human connection, you dismantle outdated societal beliefs equating emotional stoicism with true spiritual strength. You inspire collective courage, empowering others profoundly toward emotional honesty, intuitive authenticity, and spiritual awakening. Your individual vulnerability powerfully impacts humanity's collective emotional and spiritual evolution, profoundly shifting collective consciousness toward genuine compassion, emotional liberation, intuitive awakening, and spiritual authenticity. Yet consciously embracing vulnerability fully requires immense courage, spiritual discipline, and profound authenticity. You must daily dismantle outdated beliefs equating independence with spiritual strength, courageously embodying emotional openness, intuitive wisdom, and compassionate empathy authentically. Regularly seek help, openly express emotional struggles, courageously embody emotional authenticity publicly, energetically inspiring collective emotional vulnerability, intuitive clarity, spiritual authenticity. Imagine living authentically aligned precisely with emotional vulnerability, intuitive clarity, compassionate empathy, energetically shifting humanity profoundly toward emotional liberation, intuitive awakening, spiritual authenticity. Relationships deepen dramatically, authentically guided toward emotional intimacy, compassionate empathy, spiritual alignment. Emotional health profoundly improves as emotional burdens release fully, dramatically increasing emotional vitality, spiritual clarity, intuitive insight. Your courageous vulnerability profoundly fulfills humanity's collective spiritual destiny. Now deeply ask yourself this profoundly powerful question: are you truly ready to courageously embrace emotional vulnerability fully, authentically stepping powerfully into your profound spiritual purpose? Are you willing to consciously dismantle outdated beliefs equating independence with spiritual strength, courageously seeking help, support, genuine human connection, energetically shifting humanity profoundly toward collective emotional liberation, intuitive clarity, spiritual awakening? If your soul resonates deeply with powerful, unwavering yes, trust completely sacred empathic role. Embrace emotional vulnerability courageously. Express intuitive wisdom authentically. Courageously embody emotional authenticity publicly, energetically inspiring humanity profoundly toward collective emotional liberation, intuitive awakening, spiritual empowerment. Your courageous vulnerability fulfills humanity's spiritual destiny forever. Universe specifically chose your soul intentionally, precisely for extraordinary spiritual mission at this critical historical moment. Trust deeply in sacred empathic journey. Humanity's collective spiritual awakening profoundly depends on you.